From Nashville, this is Opry Backstage, your private pass behind the scenes at the legendary Grand Ole Opry. And now, your host this week for Opry Backstage, Bill Anderson.
Oh, it is a cold and chilly and windy and snowy night in Music City, USA, as it is in just about the whole eastern half of the United States. So you folks just throw another log on the fire and enjoy some Grand Ole Opry music tonight. Good evening to you. This is Opry Backstage. I am Bill Anderson, and we've got a great show lined up for you tonight. Before this half hour is over, Hank Locklin's going to come by for a visit, as is Roy Drusky. We're going to find out the latest with Roy Acuff's Smoky Mountain Boys, see what they've been up to since we lost Mr. Roy back in November. Young red-headed lady from Indiana by the name of Joy White is making her debut on the Grand Ole Opry tonight. I've checked. They're all here. They all got here through the snow, and I just wondered if Ricky Skaggs had any trouble getting out of his driveway.
I had to go get a four-wheel drive from a friend of mine, so yeah, I did, just a little bit. I didn't want to get the car out. It's terrible in the snow.
You know, I've told people the Grand Ole Opry is a great attraction, but you know the best attraction in Nashville is an inch of snow and watching the natives drive on it.
That's right, that's right. You're not kidding. People just do not know how to drive on it. It's
people
amazing.
in Buffalo would really get a kick out of us.
Oh, they sure would. They'd sit back and just, this would be the best show, I think, to watch us drive.
You're confusing me these days, and I gotta ask you something. I turn on the radio, and I hear Ricky Skaggs doing commercials for a weight loss program. Then in about 10 minutes, I hear Ricky Skaggs doing commercials for hot dogs and luncheon meats. And I'm trying to figure out, are you trying to tell me to lose weight or eat these hot dogs?
Well, I got to tell you, the Nutrisystem program, I went on after I did the commercials for Fisher.
Okay.
So they're still running the Fisher things till April, and but the Nutrisystem things will run for quite a while. So.
Now, you're a guy who really believes in the products he advertises. I mean, you're on the program, and
That's
how much
right.
weight have you lost?
I lost about 36, 38 pounds on Nutrisystem, and me and my wife both went on it, and we did great on it. So,
Does she allow you to tell how much she's lost?
yeah, she lost, I think, 15 pounds.
And are all of the whites on it? I mean, Sharon
No,
and
just
Cheryl?
Sharon went on it with. She actually went on it to help me stay on it, you know, because I really needed to get it off, and so I've been off. I've kept it off now almost a year.
But you never looked to me like you were overweight. I mean, did you see yourself as being overweight?
Yeah, as much television stuff as I did. TV always adds about 10 pounds to what you really are, you know, and so I really wanted to get it off, and it was bothering me with my health, bothering me with my breathing as I was singing and stuff, and I've got young kids. I mean, my youngest is 3 years old, so I wanted to live a healthy life and grow up and see grandkids, you know. So I really wanted to try to take care of myself, and I'm 38, and I really wanted to try to get it together.
Well, you take your life serious. You take your music seriously, don't you?
Yeah, I take the music serious. I don't take the business serious anymore. I used to take the music business serious, and I got just so sick of the music business. I hate the business part of country music, of any kind of music, I think. But it's, you know, it's the music that makes the business, you know, and so I think that if I continue focusing on what makes the business, what makes records sell, which is the music, then I'm a lot better off.
Are you a perfectionist? When it comes to your music, I mean, dealing with your band and everything, has it got to be just a certain way?
Well, you know, I think I used to be more in that way than I am now. I'm letting a few more things slide. I've got a young band that I'm trying to, you know, be easy with, but they're great musicians, so they really encourage me to play. And I've got a really red hot guitar player, and he's 20 years old, and he's quite a talent. He's like my kid, you know. So.
That scares you. I've got a new young girl with me who's 22 years old playing the
really
fiddle.
good too.
Thank you.
Yes,
but these young kids, I mean, were you? Because you're very talented. You probably were that good when you were 20.
Well, I started playing with Ralph Stanley when I was 16 years old, full time. I started with him actually when I was 15, but then after I got out of high school, I started traveling with him when I was 16. Keith Whitley and myself did, and you know, I learned a lot. I mean, I had to be good enough, I guess, to play with him and play with the Country Gentlemen and other groups that I went with. But I've learned a lot in the last 20 years. So, you know, you gotta stay with it, and you gotta really work hard at it, because there's a lot of great musicians and great singers and great songwriters coming up nowadays. Country music is the hottest item, you know, in the country, and so there's a lot of talent out there.
You were one of the people, though. I think you and Randy Travis, I think when the history books are written, they're going to say when Ricky Skaggs came along and Randy Travis, that's when the business went back to being more country. And all of us should thank you for that.
Well, thank you very much. That's a nice thing to say. We came along at a time when the urban cowboy movement was very, very strong in country music, and we had a lot of media attention, on pop country. And, you could almost put on a pair of boots and a hat and be an urban cowboy, But we went completely against the grain, and I think that was one of the things that the media loved about us, is because we went against the grain, and we got so much media attention the first 2 or 3 years that we was out. It was a good thing, but the traditional style of country music, I think, today is what really is the most popular.
Absolutely. You took it and you made it work real quick. We got to go to somebody else. But give me your prediction. Is the University of Kentucky going to win the National Basketball Championship?
I think they're going to beat Arkansas, or they beat Arkansas today. I
Arkansas
think they're going to
today.
beat LSU tomorrow. So go Big Blue. I'm rooting for you.
This is the biggest UK basketball fan in the world here. Ricky, we'll be seeing you at the bottom of the hour. You're hosting our Grand Ole Opry. You're going to have as among your guests the Smoky Mountain Boys. A lot of people have asked me, and they've probably asked you, what are the Smoky Mountain Boys doing now that Roy Acuff has passed away? Well, Janet is with them backstage. Let's look in and find out.
Yeah, Bill, you and Ricky were talking about some of these talented newcomers in the business. We got 4 talented newcomers right here. How are you guys doing?
Fine, Janet.
It's good to see you. Bill was saying that folks are wondering, what are the plans for the Smoky Mountain Boys now that Mr. Acuff is no longer with us? What's the future for you?
Well, we'll stand together, but I think maybe after the 9th it'll be Oswald and I on the Grand Ole Opry, and Dan and Larry will be going with other people.
Mm-hmm. Are you ready to talk about your new places in music, or is that something that you'd rather wait until later to do?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
we'll wait a little later till we discuss the plans for the
A little
future.
bit farther.
Yeah.
Well, now you and Larry have a show in the park, right?
Also Dan.
Dan.
Yes, we'll be working with Russ and Becky Jeffers in the folk theater, Martin Guitar Theater over there. And we did that for a couple of years. We'll be doing it again this year. We've already got it set for this summer.
Well, good. That's good. Well, we were joking around before we went on camera. You were talking about this is the first time you've held a microphone and had to talk into it. Now, explain why that is.
I don't know why that is.
Yeah, you
How
hold
am
it
I
up. There
doing?
you go. You're doing good. Doing real good.
I've never done this. You feel pretty good.
You've always got an instrument in your hand.
That's right. Harmonica wouldn't work.
No.
Banjo wouldn't work.
You're doing real good.
Thank you.
You really are. And how are you doing over there? You're the
I'm better than anybody.
It is.
I'm all right.
Oswald, when was it? When did you join Mr. Acuff? What year was that?
1939.
1930. You know, see, here's another one who doesn't know how to use this mic.
Well, I
Get this
don't.
mic up here.
I don't like a mic. I'm scared of it.
You don't like a mic, but it's necessary for the folks at home to know what you're saying.
Yeah.
It was 1939.
1939, yeah.
Did you join primarily as a singer and musician, or as a comic? Did the comic part come
It
later?
come a little later,
Did
yeah.
it come later?
I come in as a musician, and the luck never got me to sing any. And I can't sing yet, but
Well, now there's a lot of folks who wouldn't agree with that. We think you can sing just fine.
well, I thank you a lot. But I finally got to sing a little bit with him, and I carried the tenor part then.
And those were the days when you all did a lot of work on the road then.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's primarily where you were,
Every
right?
day in the week. We worked every day for a long time. Sunday and all. Didn't matter.
Well, folks out there may know that Middle Tennessee's had a pretty sizable winter storm in the last 24 hours. We've got a lot of snow on the ground. What's the worst weather story? When you were in those days when you all were traveling with Mr. Acuff on the road, what's the worst snowstorm or worst weather you ever had to endure?
We was out west, in not Montana, Wyoming. Out in Wyoming, and it snowed so hard we couldn't see the highway. And Roy'd drive along, and he'd run off the road, and we'd have to get out of the car and push him back up in the road. And finally, the bread man come along, pitched some bread over in the car, said, I don't know how long you boys will be here. And that like scared me to death. We couldn't see the highway at all.
Is that
Nothing
right?
but telephone poles, all we could see.
But you had plenty of bread for a snow
We had
sandwich
bread.
or whatever
He
you
give us
needed.
bread,
huh?
yeah.
Uh-huh.
I ain't gonna tell you what Roy gave us.
Well, you you all have had some fine days with Mr. Acuff, and I know you miss him, but you've got a lot of fine days together to look forward to still.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You sure do. It's good to have you all tonight. We're looking forward to hearing you on the Opry. And come back and see us just as soon as you can, okay?
Thank you a lot.
All right.
Thank you.
There's much more on Opry Backstage right after this.
You know, I can still remember the very first candy given to me by my grandfather. It was Werther's Original, and I was 4. I had a little trouble opening that shiny golden wrapper, but then, well, I'll never forget that first taste. Sweet and creamy and just plain good. But there was something else, too. I remember feeling I must be somebody very special when my grandpa gave me his wonderful butter candy. So, now I'm the grandfather. And what else would I give my little grandson but my Werther's Original? He's somebody special, too.
This Chevy Lumina is made of steel that's so rust resistant, it's covered by warranty virtually until the end of this century, the year 1999. So, no matter how life changes by then, your Lumina will still look beautiful. 6 years or 100,000 miles. That's our guarantee. What else would you expect from the heartbeat of America?
It's important to keep your promises. Always. All over the world. If we promise it gives skin incredible moisture replenishment.
It always will.
If we promise smoothing of tiny lines.
You see the results.
If we promise it works like young skin's fluid, sinking in instantly.
It always does.
For a young radiance.
It has to.
Oil of Olay, twice a day, all around the world. We keep our promise to young skin.
It's only heartburn. I should learn to live with it. Right?
You know, frequent heartburn may be a sign of a more serious medical problem. Your doctor has treatment plans that can help.
Frequent heartburn. Isn't it time you talk to your doctor?
I usually find out on Fridays before I host Backstage on Saturdays who my guests are going to be. And I guess maybe I went to bed last night thinking about this show because of all things, I dreamed about Roy Drusky last night. No, I did. I dreamed. Now, you're going to love this because I dreamed that I read the Nashville paper and there was a big headline, Roy Drusky has #1 record in the country.
Yeah, I like that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not only that, I dreamed the song.
Feel Me an Anna.
No. No, it was not the great Feel Me an Anna.
Oh, okay.
But I woke up and I can't remember what the song was. And I wonder if you, as a great songwriter, have you ever dreamed a song?
Have I ever dreamed a song?
Yeah, in other words, have you ever slept at night and dreamed that you were writing a song and dreamed this song and then woke up the next day and couldn't remember it?
No, Bill. I've never dreamed that.
Well, I guess I'm out on a limb by myself.
We did almost match colors, though.
Yeah, we did.
Was that part of the dream? That we...
No, that wasn't it. I have talked to other writers, though, that have told me
that they dreamed
they've dreamed songs, and then when they'd wake up the next day, they couldn't. The song would be great in your dream, and then you'd wake up and you had a great song. I just can't remember what it was.
Well, I hope you can remember. It was #1, huh? #1?
#1, yeah. Big
Wonderful.
headline in the paper.
And all the charts?
#1 in all the charts. You were hot as a firecracker.
Boy, that makes me feel good. You made my day, I'll tell you. I like
Did you have any trouble getting to the Opry tonight? You live out in the country, don't you?
I live out in the country, and we had quite a few heavy snowdrifts, but interstate was clear and just breezed right in here.
You have animals on your farm and that kind of
We got one horse left that's spoiled, and one cat. No, 3 cats. 3 cats. 1 inside, 2 outside, and the horse, of course, is outside, you know.
Do you tour anymore, or do you just sit out there on that farm and play gentleman farmer, or what do you do?
Well, really, I'm working quite a few things now, country gospel things. And I'm going to California next week, and just got back from Orlando, and then I'm going to Billings, Montana in April.
Now, what do you mean by country gospel?
Well, I'm working some, this went blank.
You perform in churches, that kind of thing?
No, some of them are churches, but they're like a series of meetings. Where they have a series of meetings.
Like a convention or something, or revival, camp meeting type thing?
Revival type, camp meeting type things. And I'll go in for the opening weekend and work with them. And
do you take a band? Or go
I
by
use
yourself?
tracks.
Use music, pre-recorded tracks.
And fill it in with live organ and piano. And it works out real nice.
Wouldn't that have been great back in the days? Of course, I'm still hiring a band, and wouldn't it have been wonderful just to take in a tape recorder?
Oh,
Wouldn't that
yeah.
pay any of those musicians?
It's cheaper, wouldn't it? A lot cheaper.
Do you write anymore? You write any more songs?
I write, it's awful to say this, I write when I have to write. If I need a song, I'll write.
But what do you mean if you need a song?
Well, like for a tape, if I need one to complete a new tape, or if I'm short a song, I get an idea. If I happen to dream of something in the night.
Are you? Oh, touche.
I'll file that away and I'll come back and say, well, write that one.
Are you writing country gospel? Are you writing country? Or what kind
No,
of things
mostly
are you
country,
writing?
mostly gospel now.
Mhm.
I really enjoy the gospel field, and you feel like, I don't know, it's just a good feeling, you know. And,
I've just done an inspirational album, and I kind of know a little bit of
Yeah,
what you're
that's
talking
great.
about. You're one of the most effortless singers on this Grand Ole Opry stage. You walk out there and make it look so easy. How do you do that?
I don't know, I just go out and sing.
No, you really do. Have you ever had any formal voice training
No,
or anything like
no,
that?
no,
It
never
just
have.
seems to come so natural to you.
I guess from having to strain so many years in those clubs, when you can finally ease off and got good PA and all, you can just kind of sit back.
Yeah. Well, you do it. You make it look so easy, and you sing so great.
You remember when I ran the control board and you recorded City Lights?
You decided not to pursue a career as a recording engineer.
No, did you ever pay me for that?
I don't think
I
I
don't
did,
think
Roy,
you
but
did
let me
either.
see. I'm
See, that
fresh
was
out
oh,
tonight.
you missed again.
Put it on my credit card. Hey, I'm going to think of you next week. I'm going down and watch a little spring training
Oh, I'd
baseball.
love to.
You
I'd
wanna
love
go?
that. I'd love that.
Oh, I know.
yeah.
You love baseball
I
as much
love
as
baseball.
I do.
I
All right,
sure
we got to take a break right now. When we come back, a young lady is making her Opry debut tonight, and Janet Tyson's going to visit with Joy White when Grand Ole Opry Backstage continues in a minute. Thank you, Roy.
Thank you,
Drusky.
Bill.
Appreciate it.
You were up pretty late.
Oh, what? Didn't realize.
Mrs. Delmage.
Trim those toenails before you do serious damage to somebody.
From the creators of Driving Miss Daisy, Albert Finney, Jill Clayburgh, Catherine Irby, Kyle MacLachlan, Piper Laurie, Ethan Hawke, Susie Amos, and Alfre Woodard.
Let's get a wiggle on there. No rest for the wicked.
Rich in Love. Directed by Bruce Beresford, rated PG-13. Now playing in select cities, coming to theaters near you.
I really didn't want my husband to color his gray hair.
But then I discovered this, the hair coloring called Just for Men.
And now he looks better than ever.
Simply apply Just for Men, and in 5 minutes, rinse. Just for Men blends away the gray for a totally natural look. No wonder 8 out of 10 women prefer the Just for Men look to the gray look.
It's like you took off 10 years.
And in just 5 minutes.
Just for Men. She'll love the way you look.
Where will you be when your laxative starts working? Where will you be? With Fleet brand glycerin suppositories, there's no worry. Fleet works when you want it to, in minutes. For fast, predictable relief, trust Fleet. It's predictable.
The Murine Earwax Removal System has drops that safely loosen hardened wax when used as directed, plus an ear washer to gently flush wax away. Murine, the complete medically approved system to safely remove earwax.
Grammy winners play here. The American Music Shop. Grammy winners play here. Saturdays on TNN.
Our show's called Opry Backstage from Nashville. I'm Bill Anderson. Well, it won't be but just a few minutes until a young lady named Joy White's going to walk out on that Grand Ole Opry stage for the very first time and make her debut. Let's find out what it feels like as she anticipates the big moment. Janet Tyson and Joy are backstage in Studio A.
That's right, Bill, and the first thing you notice is her pretty red hair, but wait till she sings, folks. That's when you really will pay attention. Good to have you with us, Joy. Welcome to the Opry.
Thank you.
And this is your debut. And, of course, the obvious question is, are you nervous?
Yes, I am.
Well, you have it's been kind of a difficult situation for you tonight, too, hasn't it? You've had a band member or two that have gotten stranded in the snow.
Yeah, I had Charlie White, who was going to be playing guitar for me tonight. He's in Georgia somewhere.
Oh, my gosh. obviously can't get here because of the weather. So you've got a couple of new band members, but you've had a chance to rehearse, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're ready to go on.
And I know
knock
Jimmy
'em dead.
Capps, so.
Oh, that really helps. Plus, you're getting ready to perform in front of what is probably the friendliest, warmest, lovingest audience in country music, the Grand Ole Opry audience. So you'll have a great time. Will you be singing Little Tears tonight?
I'm going to do True Confessions, and then later on the show, I'm going to do. What am I doing? I'm doing Bittersweet End.
Oh, okay. And those songs, your very first album on Columbia has been is an album called Between Midnight and Hindsight. First single off that was Little Tears, which really created quite a storm, created quite a lot of attention for you. And now the new single is doing quite well too.
Yeah, this single's doing pretty good, and Marty Stewart was in the video, so that was real fun.
Do you like doing videos? That's something that a new artist in country music now has to contend with. That's just part of the business. Do you enjoy doing it?
I'm starting to like it better. The first time I was real nervous because I'd never done it before, and the second time was a lot funner because I had Marty and I had people in the band that were in the video that are good friends of mine. So we had a good time.
The local, I believe it was yesterday morning, one of the local radio stations in town played another cut off your album, played the title cut. I guess it's the title cut. Is the song called Between Midnight and Hindsight, or is it called Why Do I Feel This Good?
Yeah, Why Do I Feel So Good, written by Bobby Braddock, and there's a line in the song that says, somewhere between midnight and hindsight she cries.
That's a wonderful song. It gave me chills listening to it. It must be really fun as an artist to come across songs like your first two singles and like that particular cut.
Yeah, I've known that song for about 3 years because I did the original demo for Bobby.
You've done a lot of demo work. That's kind of how you have been making your living in Nashville for a long time, or for the time that you've been here.
Yeah, I've been doing demos, and I've also been writing songs.
Is it different? You were saying that you've done a little touring. You're getting ready to go out on the road with Ricky Van Shelton and Tracy Lawrence and
Mark Chestnut.
You've done a lot of studio work in your life. What about road work?
Well, I haven't actually done the road work, but years ago, when I was a little kid, I started singing gospel music in front of lots of audiences for a long time, and then I did local bands in my hometown, but when I moved to Nashville, I just became a session singer.
So what do you think? You've got, I'm sure, lots of friends in the business who've told you the road warrior stories. What do you think will be the hardest part?
Probably learning how to sleep on the bus.
I understand it's a pretty good place to write songs, though, if you can get your band to be quiet,
It could be.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll get some good road songs from you because you really are serious about your songwriting, and and plan to continue it even as your recording career gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I write a lot. I've been writing a lot here lately, and I want to keep doing that as much as possible in my spare time.
Well, singing is something that you said you've always done and always wanted to do. Is there any part of the Ricky Skaggs a little bit earlier was talking about the business of country music, the music business part. Is there any part of it that you were surprised about, or was it didn't know, didn't expect, or maybe not so pleased about having to deal with?
Well, it's just when it rains, it pours. It's that kind of a thing. But it's always been that way with me. And there are always new things that I'm learning about the music business now that I have a record deal. But I'm really glad that I'm doing it.
Your mom and dad, I know, you came from a musical family, a family that sang together a lot. And I assume your mom and dad are really supporting and really behind you with this.
Yeah. My mother, she's in East Tennessee, and unfortunately her cable went out tonight because of all the snow.
Oh, that's right.
But we're taping it for her.
Well, this has just been kind of you've had to work hard to get here this week, haven't you? Well, we'll definitely get her a copy of this show, very definitely. Joy, it's good to see you, and best of luck on your Opry debut, and come back real soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Opry Backstage will be right back after this.
Want to break a European's heart? Let him test drive a Buick Park Avenue Ultra for 2 weeks, then take it away. You see, the Ultra, with its supercharged engine, luxury appointments, and Buick quality, is built in such limited quantities, it's just not available in Europe yet. Want to break a European's heart? Let him drive an Ultra. Then, take it away.
When I get gas, I may look like this, but I feel like this, painfully bloated with gas.
Gas-X has the power to relieve gas faster than antacids.
So I feel like me again.
Painful gas needs the power of Gas-X.
All God's creatures get constipated, and most of them solve it naturally. Now you can too, with Per Diem, a 100% natural laxative that works just as fast as all the chemical ones.
They used to call this man the mayor of McClellan, Florida, Hank Locklin from the panhandle of Florida. They're having snow down there today.
I tell you, it's been about 10 years since we had it, but it's there today.
Will they know what to do with it?
Not all that much. And I'm glad I'm not down there trying to help them either. I'll tell you that now. But I like snow. You know, it's my wife would say, you're lying, you don't like snow. But I like it, you know, but I don't like to be out in it.
Did you grow up around snow? Where were you born and raised? I don't think I live in there.
McClellan, Florida.
Oh, you were right there,
Yeah, it's
huh?
about 25 miles from Bruton, Alabama. And Bruton's about 100 miles south of Montgomery, Alabama.
So down there, you never saw a lot of snow.
No,
and
never
cold
saw
weather growing
snow.
up,
I didn't even, I thought Santa Claus, I thought he was the only one that brought apples and oranges when, you know, I never seen an apple and orange, you know, until I left down there, you know.
And you're writing a book about your life now?
Well, yes, I am about probably halfway in it, and I've got a lot of things to tell. I got something to tell about you, too.
Uh-oh. What are you telling?
I'm going to tell tonight that I spent the night with you down in Atlanta.
Well, now, let's clear that up. Let's understand. You came with me to my mom and daddy's house.
That's right,
and,
yeah. We had, yeah, that was...
They took us in one night.
That was my first experience with Bill, and I didn't know he could whisper so sweet.
Get out of here, man. You're going to start all kinds of rumors. Let's change the subject.
Okay.
That was not tonight. You wrote Send Me the Pillow You Dream.
No, I dreamed. I slept on your sister's pillow. And you said maybe she'll like to know about the dream that I dreamed on.
Didn't you record that song?
I didn't have time. Did I?
Didn't you record it twice?
Yes.
Send Me the Pillow You Dream On.
Oh, more than twice.
No, but didn't you do it one time on a small label and then it wasn't a big hit?
4-star. It was a hit all the way from Texas to Arkansas, Oklahoma, and all the way to California. I made $100 a night off that song for a long time. It was great. Yeah.
But then when you went on RCA, you re-recorded it, and it was a hit all over the world,
Yeah, it
right?
was, and it was a monster. And it's been that way ever since. And I'm looking for some girl to record this number and have a hit. No girl has ever had a single record on it, and it's time for one to come out, too.
Well, maybe Joy White's still listening back
well,
there.
I
Maybe
hope
that'd
she
be a
is,
good
yeah.
one for
It
her.
would, man, I tell you.
Which is your biggest song? Send Me the Pillow You Dream On, or Please Help Me I'm Falling? Which one do you get the most requests
Every day, once a day, all day long.
God, which one's a big?
Well, I've made more money off of the pillow, I guess, than I made off of Help Me I'm Falling, because I wrote the pillow, and Hal Blair and Don Robertson wrote the Help Me I'm Falling.
You know one of your old songs I love, and I wish you'd sing it sometime. Do you ever sing Let Me Be the One?
Yeah.
That's a great song. Do that and dedicate it to me one night.
Okay. Thank you, buddy.
Hank
It's good to see
is
you.
on our Grand Ole Opry tonight, along with Roy Drusky, along with the Smoky Mountain Boys, Joy White, and Ricky Skaggs, of course, is hosting our show. Porter Wagner's going to sit in next week on Backstage. He's going to allow me to take a couple of extra days of vacation down in Florida if I can get there. So I'll see you, I think, the first Saturday night in April. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for lots of good Grand Ole Opry music coming up on TNN. I'm Bill Anderson. Good night.
Grand Ole Opry Live, next on TNN. You're watching TNN, the Nashville Network, celebrating a decade of great country music and family entertainment.
Here's another Coca-Cola Concert Series update. Billy Ray Cyrus is coming live.
Don't tell my heart, my head keep breaking heart.
Friday, April 23rd at the Starwood Amphitheater. The Sungave Hall Tour 93. Special guest, the Kentucky Headhunters. Plus Palomino Road. Tickets now at Ticketmaster, the box office, or by phone. Billy Ray Cyrus, always live. Always Coca-Cola.
Presenting Digital Music Express. 30 channels of CD quality music for your stereo. No interruptions, no talk, ever. And for jazz lovers, we offer 3 great channels Classic jazz with the greats. Light jazz to put you in the mood and big band swing. If you like music, you're going to love DMX, Digital Music Express. Just call us today.
DMX now available from Viacom, 244-5990.
I'm Keith Bilbrey. Welcome to another big half hour of Grand Ole Opry Live here on TNN. What a great show we've got for you. Special guest Joy White is here, along with folks like Hank Locklin and Roy Drusky and the Smoky Mountain Boys. Right now, here's Ricky Skaggs.
I got a friend who's a workaholic. Never knows when to quit. Me, I knock off early every chance I get. He's got an IRA for a rainy day, but I wonder if he knows that you can't take it with you when you go. While I'm out somewhere fishing, you can bet he's a working hard. My little boat's in the water, his big boat sits in the yard. And when I'm making time with that gal of mine, his love life's on hold. You can't take it with you when you go. You can't take it with you when you go. You better take some time to live and love before you get too old. All the treasures in this world don't mean a thing when they lay low. 'Cause you can't take it with you when you go. Play the guitar, boy. Virtue, and there's nothing wrong with that. I ain't afraid to pull my weight, but I ain't gonna break my back. I ain't worried about my bank account, just let the good times roll. 'Cause you can't take it with you when you go. You can't take it with you when you go. You better take some time to live and love before you get too old. All the treasures in this world don't mean a thing when they lay you low. 'Cause you can't take it with you when you go. All the treasures in this world don't mean a thing when they lay you low. 'Cause you can't take it with you when you go. Thank you very much. And thank you, Kentucky Thunder. All right. Well, welcome to the Grand Ole Opry. All you folks at radio, but especially you folks that's all snowed in at home by television. We're glad to have you with us tonight. This is the Grand Ole Opry, the grandest Opry that there ever has been right here in Nashville, Tennessee. We're glad to be with you tonight. Y'all stay with us. We have got a great show for you. Now, just get up and go get you a cup of coffee or a little hot chocolate or something and come right back, all right?
This is a reminder that your puppy is not a dog. A puppy needs up to twice the nutrition of a fully grown adult dog. And Puppy Chow Growth Formula has all the extra nutrition your puppy needs. So he'll grow up to be big and strong and mature, just like Daddy. Puppy Chow brand puppy food, one of the dog chow family from Purina.
This year, TNN turns 10.
I hope you never grow up.
I just love staying up late with you.
Show after show, night after night, the music that's so close to home.
TNN and I spend a lot of evenings together, close buddies.
It's just a great place to be.
10 years.
Happy 10.
For country music fans, that's something to sing about.
TNN, that's what I like about you.
Happy 10th, TNN.
Brand new artist making her debut on the Opry tonight, Joy White. Here's Ricky Skaggs to introduce her.
Singing young lady coming up for her. This is her Opry debut, and I know what she's feeling right now because I had me a debut one time, and it's more like a debut. And I was scared to death. But this gal seems to be mighty calm. She sure is pretty, and she is pretty red-headed, too. She's from Arkansas, but she's raised up in Indiana, she told me a while ago, and I heard her record on the radio today, and I tell you what, this gal can sure sing. Please welcome Miss Joy White. Yeah, Joy. Wasn't she great, y'all? Joy White. Joy, come back and see us again, all right? And you know what? There won't never be another first time for you. All right. That's great. Glad to have her with us tonight. All right, we want to introduce you to a fellow that's been here for quite a while. He's one of the residents here at the Grand Ole Opry, and we sure love him. He's a great singer, and I know you'll enjoy his part of the show. Please welcome Mr. Roy Drusky. Yeah, Roy.
Thank you very much, Ricky. No, we had clear sailing into Nashville tonight, and it's good to have you people here with us. One of our older records. If the whole world stopped loving me, how long would living go on? Have you ever stopped to wonder what kind of place this would be if the whole world stopped loving me the way you stopped loving me? If every heart was broken the way that you broke my own, and the whole world stopped loving me, how long would living go on? Hear the church bells in the steeple as they ring their song through the air. If the whole world stopped loving me, there'd be no steeple bells there. The tears would fill the river till the rivers flooded the sea. If the whole world stopped loving me the way you stopped loving me, if the whole world stopped loving the way you stopped loving me.
Roy Drusky. Good job, Roy. Roy Drusky. That's great, Roy. All right, y'all stay with us. We're going to come right back after this message. Y'all come back too.
How many bowls of this cereal would it take to equal the nutritional value of the fresh fruit, eggs, grits, and bacon on Shoney's breakfast bar? Well, it depends on how big your bowl is. Cereal, bananas, peaches, melons, fruit salad, cottage cheese, bacon, scrambled eggs, sausage, potatoes, blueberry muffins, biscuits, country milk gravy, grits.
A failed marriage.
She wasn't sure she loved me when we did get married.
A battle with alcohol.
I drank a lot.
Popular TV personality Dick Clark goes on the record Monday night.
Next week on Crook and Chase, we'll find out what it's really like to become an overnight superstar from Billy Ray Cyrus.
And a live performance from Diamond Rio.
Crook and Chase, live, weeknights 8 Eastern on TNN.
More great Grand Ole Opry music to come. Hank Locklin coming up, and what Opry performance would be complete without Roy Acuff's band, the Smoky Mountain Boys. They're going to come out and entertain you. Here's Ricky Skaggs.
All right. I'd like to introduce you to our next guest now. He's been a member of the Grand Ole Opry for some time, and he is one of the original voices, I think, here at the Grand Ole Opry, and no one sings like this guy. He's got his own thing, and I really like it a whole lot. I think you'll really enjoy his part of the show tonight. Please welcome Mr. Hank Locklin. Hello, Hank.
Hello, Ricky. I've been knowing you a long time. The first time that I really remember you was down on Coldwater Creek down in Florida, at the park down there, and I had the thing that CMA sent me, you know, to vote.
Yeah.
So I've been hearing the songs, and I saw Ricky Skaggs and they sung on there, and I got to tell you, I'm a lifetime member with the CMA, and I voted for you.
Well, I appreciate that.
But that's
what did win?
I don't,
Dog Catcher of the Year?
Well, you got to come to the Grand Ole Opry. And
Well, that's good. I
You
won
made
a
a
lot
lot
when
of
I
friends up here. I didn't know that I'm not your grandfather. I didn't know that the white father-in-law was, I met him a long time ago. But anyhow, enough for you. I tell you, this kid's doing all right. Thank you, Rick. Yes, sir. Thank you. You love me, don't you? From Nashville, Tennessee to Nashville, Arkansas, I want to send this song over to a little lady that we worked together in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Many years ago, Ginger and her husband and all of them up there, and also from some people from Bruton, Clinton, Mamie from Saraland down in Mobile, Alabama, and Thomas and Diane with us tonight there, and it's so good to see you. And you guys down at the KA over in Tuscaloosa don't party too much down there. My son's down there, and it's so good to see you down here tonight, especially for you and yours. This song has been one of the world's favorites that I love so much, and it tells a beautiful story about a little lady that loved a guy so much that when she got killed, why, her brother took the diary that she'd wrote every day and put the words, and I'd like to try to do them tonight, especially for you and yours. Mr. Weldon.
The pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and you know I love you. Everybody loves you, Danny boy. Thank you, Will. But come ye
Great, Hank. Wow. That is some fine singing and a wonderful song. Beautiful song. All right. We'd like to bring out our next guests. These fellas are just now breaking into the business. Not. Well, they've been here a long time. As a matter of fact, they backed up Roy Acuff for many, many years. And we're just real proud that they're here and bringing that good old Smoky Mountain music right to us still. Even though Mr. Roy is gone, there's a wonderful spirit that's still here, and these guys bring it out, and we sure appreciate them. We love them all very much. Please welcome the Smoky Mountain Boys. Hello, Oz and Charlie.
Thank you, Ricky. Oh, it was real late when I got home last night, Charlie.
What time was it?
About 8:30.
Well, that is late for you.
Oh, it was late, and I went home, knocked on the door, and here come my mad darling wife. She grabbed the doorknob, slammed the door back against the wall, and said, "What do you mean you're coming in here half drunk?" I said, "I run out of money."
That'll bring you home all right, early or late, either one.
Maybe so mad I could stomp my cat's head off right down the middle of the floor.
You mean to tell me, Oswald, as good a boy as you are and have been, of course we do know that you have been,
Yeah.
that your wife really fusses at you?
She do, and I wish you could hear some of it.
I don't need to. I could cross the river here all I want. You know what I do when I go in and my wife starts that nagging and a fussing, as you call it?
Well, maybe you can tell me something to do.
I can't tell you what to do, but I'll tell you what I do, and it works every time. I just lay her down across my lap, I gently lift her dress, and I give her a good spanking.
That won't do one bit of good at my house.
Huh?
Won't do a bit of good.
You tried it?
I certainly did.
Laid her down across your lap?
Yes, sir.
Lift her dress?
I did.
Spank her?
No, I forgot what I was mad about. That's the truth if I ever told it, that's that.
She ain't yours now. That's the reason you can tell that.
There we go now. Down the road here from me,
The Smoky Mountain Boys. Oz and Charlie. Appreciate it. Oh, that's great. Well, old Mountain Dew. We'll be right back. Don't get none of that Mountain Dew, and we'll be right back here in a minute.
Way back before the Pathfinders, before the Explorers, even before the Cherokees, there was Blazer. Now the first sport utility vehicle of its kind offers you all this. And the performance of a 200 horsepower V6. You can spend thousands more on something else, but there's only one way to get the experience of a Chevy Blazer, the vehicle that originated the species.
When I get gas, I may look like this, but I feel like this, painfully bloated with gas.
GasX has the power to relieve gas faster than antacids.
So I feel like me again.
Painful gas needs the power of GasX.
Get ready to party. Hank Williams Jr., the Bama Band, Aaron Tippett, Leroy Parnell, Dallas Cowboys Troy Aikman, and Kansas City Chiefs Derek Thomas. A rockin' romp in Nashville now, Monday, March 22nd.
What a great show tonight. Thanks to the Smoky Mountain Boys, Roy Drusky, Hank Locklin, and special guest Joy White. It's not over yet, though. Another song from Ricky Skaggs. Here we go.
And so we'll say goodnight right now. Appreciate y'all tuning in at home. And as always, appreciate y'all tuning in by radio. This is a great place to be and a wonderful show to listen to every Friday and Saturday night here in Nashville, the Grand Ole Opry. We love you. And here's Lovin' Only Me. Here we go. They say you're cold as ice, but I don't believe it. Up goes my temperature when I'm next to you. They say he won't look twice, but I don't believe it. Like I'm feeling something cooking, baby, how about you? Someday you'll see it's gonna be no one for you, only me.
The Statler Brothers Show, next on TNN.
I think it would be very appropriate if all of us would sing happy birthday to Mrs. Nixon. But I won't be imposing if, should I ask you, Mr. President, will you please play the piano for us?
This very professional company, I'm a little embarrassed to try to use that thing there. I haven't even learned to play with this thing yet.
Thank you.
Richard Nixon wasn't the only occupant of the White House to fall into Roy Acuff's spell.
Just a few years later, when country music's king was roasted and toasted by a slew of VIPs in Nashville, then Vice President George Bush made his preference in music known.
It's not an American Express card. It's my membership, dues paid, in the Roy Acuff fan club.
It was during this event that the establishment of the Roy Acuff Award was announced to honor country entertainers who gave great service to the community, an award whose recipients now include Kenny Rogers, Willie Nelson, and Minnie Pearl.
But Nashville was not the only place where this king held court with politicians. At a gala thrown for him at Washington's Kennedy Center, Roy Acuff was reminded of his own one-time political ambitions in a very unique way.
But it is true indeed that he was the Republican nominee for governor in 1948, and it's true that he almost got elected. By the way, my father was his campaign manager in that race.
Acuff lost the election to Democrat Gordon Browning. It was the country singer's first and last venture into politics.
Bill Ivey is back with us now from the Country Music Hall of Fame. And Bill, what was it about Roy Acuff that made him so attractive to those people around him?
Well, I think that fans loved Roy and Roy loved fans. I think that he stayed with his work, stayed dedicated to his work through that long career, and I think that showed at every step, every time he came on stage, and that not only was reflected in fan loyalty, but also the affection of leaders of government, people in the military who enjoyed his tours over the years, and certainly the people who recognized his public service. I mean, he did support, in particular, educational institutions around the state of Tennessee, and he was honored both here in his community and nationally and internationally for those efforts. So I think it was a kind of mutual admiration society that in which affection flowed from fans to Roy and from leadership to Roy, and he reciprocated. So he was a strong star, and I think kind of a magnet for that sort of affection.
Bill, put his career in historical perspective for us. He is our touchstone to the very beginning roots of country music. Was he not?
Well, I think that's absolutely true. I mean, I mentioned earlier that his career goes back to the very early days of radio, the very early days of recording. He sang in schoolhouses that were lighted with kerosene lanterns, and he carried his career forward, and of course took it in many different directions. He changed some things about his work over the years, but basically his music remained the same. He remained very dedicated to that old-time kind of Appalachian style of country music, which emphasized fiddles and banjos and a high-energy style of singing, and always included comedy. And that was really a constant for Roy throughout his career. So you could listen to him on the Grand Ole Opry only a few weeks ago and hear a basic approach to country music that reached back over 5 or 6 decades. So he was our connection with an important part of the roots of country music.
Bill, thanks for being with us. You heard what Mr. Acuff told Randy Travis, didn't you? No. He says, don't let him talk you into singing pop songs, and don't let your hair grow long, and son, you'll be okay in this business. So he had it down pat. Right. So, some longtime friends of Roy Acuff just happened to be at the Opry House tonight.
Brett Lee is out there and joins us once again from the Opry House to tell us about some of Roy's music family friends and their reaction this evening. Brett?
Well, as we know and we have found out today, Roy Acuff has a lot of friends, and we're finding more and more of them as we go. Doing the research for this story, I have discovered that this man was really well loved. And one woman who had a true love for him has practically known him all her life. She's a new artist. In fact, Lori Morgan grew up here at the Grand Ole Opry.
I grew up actually at the old Ryman Auditorium, and then we came here in 74, something like that. And well, of course, ever since I can remember, Roy Acuff's been here. Ever since I was a baby, I can remember sitting right here on the side of the stage and watching all the entertainers go out and sing, and I thought someday, you know, that's where I want to be, right there. I don't know that there's really any way to put into words what you feel about something like this. I mean, Roy, you know, coming here tonight, passing by his dressing room, was a feeling, you know, a sad feeling, because the life that used to come out of that dressing room every Friday and Saturday night with Roy in there singing and picking and everybody walking in and out of there. There's definitely kind of a sadness in the Opry House tonight.
Roy Acuff will probably never really know just what effect he's had on the young artist of today, but Harry and Chris, he will be missed.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Brett. In just a moment, we'll talk with Nashville's best-known critic of the country music industry.
As News Channel 5's memorial tribute to the king of country music continues.
Please turning down my way. Right here that gave me the nickname of the king of country music. I introduced Dizzy Dean and Gene Autry on the stage of the down in Dallas, Texas at the Sportatorium. And the people, grown people, had tore the front gate down to get in to see me, and Diz and Gene just couldn't believe their eyes. So when I introduced them on the stage at the Sportatorium, Diz said in his own way, he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, it's always a pleasure to be on the stage with the king of the hillbillies." And that's what we were known of then, hillbillies. So they can still call me hillbilly if they want to.
Well, Robert K. Orman is the Tennessean's well-known longtime critic of country music. Bob, in your view, what was the greatest contribution Mr. Roy made to what has become really a major music industry?
Well, I think it's Marty Stewart who said Roy Acuff invented country music. That might not be exactly true, but he was certainly a visionary in many areas. Roy was a pioneer in tourism. He had his own museum on Lower Broadway, the same collection that's now out at Opryland. Back in the 50s, he had Dunbar Cave 25 years before there was such a thing as Opryland, so he was very much a visionary in terms of bringing tourists to Nashville. He was absolutely a pioneer in song publishing. Acuff Rose, as everyone knows, was the very first non-Opry music business in Nashville, and it was the first publishing company with its international offices, the first with its own promotion firm, and the first with its own record label, which allowed Roy to revive his career in the 50s on disc. Smart guy.
Amen. Bob, I know that George Jones said that Roy Acuff was his idol, yet all the new artists today credit George Jones as being their idol. So he's had indirectly a big impact on the newer artists today, hasn't he?
Absolutely, and I think that anybody who goes back even a smidgen into his career, most people have heard the Wabash Cannonball or the Great Speckled Bird, but when you go a little bit deeper into Roy's career and hear how extraordinary those records are and how much energy is in that music and how much drive and how much soul are in some of those records like Fireball Mail and Night Train to Memphis and so many of the other classics that aren't heard as often, you begin to sense the feeling in that voice and what would draw a George Jones or a Hank Williams to that style. It was very, very important.
You know, it boggles the mind to think what would have happened to country music had there not been a Roy Acuff to kind of set the pattern that everyone followed.
I think that's true, and I think that in large measure you can look at the Grand Ole Opry as the leading country music radio show in the world and look directly at Roy Acuff as a responsible factor in that. He came along on the show at a time when it was ready to graduate to national and international acclaim, and I think Roy Acuff's charisma was in large measure responsible for that.
He really, in fact, was the first superstar of country music, was he not?
Absolutely. And I didn't mention he also was way, way ahead of his time in terms that he was one of the first people that rented airplanes from Henry Cannon, Minnie Pearl's husband, when he began doing that kind of traveling in country music. That was unheard of in the 50s.
Yeah. Bob?
I never knew that. That's interesting, Bob.
Yeah, it is. Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome.
Well, right now, let's go back and retrace some of the steps that led Roy Acuff to the throne of country music.
That I am only an entertainer in the country field of music, and that's all I've ever tried to be. A beautiful thought I am thinking concerning a great speckled bird.
It was this song, Great Speckled Bird, that brought a young Roy Acuff to Nashville and the Grand Ole Opry in 1938. And from that day, he spread the music he loved so much to the far corners of the world. And the names of Roy Acuff and the Grand Ole Opry became one and the same. But it wasn't music that first captivated the young Acuff. It was baseball. More than anything, he wanted to play professional ball.
The New York Yankees had a scout in Knoxville at that time, and they were looking over some of the talent. And I had been picked to go to their training camp. But that that year is the year that I got knocked out with a sunstroke.
Just like the blind man, I wandered alone. Wearies and tears I claimed for my own.
Country music then became Acuff's passion. He first traveled with the Medicine Show, then to radio in Knoxville, and finally to the big time, the Grand Ole Opry.
Back then, it was something that it was a challenge for me to come on the Opry. I had worked around Knoxville for about 5 years, and I felt I was prepared for it. Our station reaches way out, and once you build yourself on the Grand Ole Opry, you don't have to go to another smaller station and build again. You get to keep what money you got in your pocket, and you don't put it in the bank.
By the early 40s, Roy Acuff's name was known worldwide.
The Japanese, during their banzai charges, would say, to hell with Babe Ruth, to hell with Franklin Roosevelt, to hell with Roy Acuff, which were the worst things they could think of to say about Americans.
Here's the combination on the Wabash Cannonball.
By the 70s, Acuff was enjoying performing at Opryland and the new Opry House. When his wife Mildred died in 1981, this home was built for Acuff adjacent to the Opry House.
Well, it's awful nice to just roll out of bed and roll on the stage. I go through the shower and on the stage. Darling, I hate to overwork you, and I'm not going to overwork you.
The last few years, Acuff has been in declining health, but always tried to make his performances on the Grand Ole Opry, never wanting to quit.
Flowing mountain to the south belt by the shore.
She want to watch that crowd. If I can make a crowd happy, I'll stay with it. If I don't, I ain't gonna stay.
This plaque on Roy's dressing room door at the Opry House summed up his philosophy of life.
I saw the light, I saw the light, no more darkness, no more night. Now I'm so happy, no sorrow inside. Praise the Lord, I saw the light.
I Saw the Light was one of his favorite songs. As a matter of fact, Chris, many people don't know this, he sang that song at Hank Williams' funeral when Hank died. I Saw the Light.
Okay, Harry, we'll go back live to Opryland
as the News Channel 5 salute to Roy Acuff continues.
No changes can be taken on the Wabash Cannonball. From the great Atlantic Ocean to the wide Pacific shore. From the Queen of Glowing Mountains to the South Bells by the shore. She's mighty tall and handsome, she's known quite well by all. She's the combination on the Wabash Cannonball.
Never get tired of hearing that, do you?
Never do.
Never do.
Nobody can do it like him.
Brett Lee is back with us now from just outside the Opry House.
And Brett, if you could just share with us just a little bit more of the mood there this evening.
Well, right now we're sitting here in Roy Acuff's front yard, right here on his bench, and I've got some of his best friends with me tonight. Joining us is Billy Walker, who knew him very well. You've performed with Mr. Acuff on many occasions.
Yes, even before I came to the Grand Ole Opry, we had the pleasure of doing several shows. I remember one time specifically that it was his 55th birthday, and we were at a show called the Ozark Jubilee, and he was the special guest that night, and Red Foley was the host. Jim Reeves was the co-host. Me, Porter Wagner. I think it's about the time that Porter had left there and came to the Opry. He might have still been there, but anyway, I've got an old tape of that at home, and
that's priceless.
Yeah, it really is. And of course, Oz and all the gang. June Webb was on the show. Most of the group that was on that particular show that night have passed away. You know, like Howdy Foster and Jimmy Riddle and a Junior Husky played bass, and of course Junior has passed away many years ago.
Well, I tell you what, there are a lot of names there. As far as Mr. Acuff is concerned, we were talking earlier, do you think he would have been surprised by all the to-do today?
I really think he would be in one respect. I don't think the man really knew how popular he really was. If he did, he had a very unassuming attitude towards it. He kept himself humble, and that's what makes me think that he didn't really know how loved he really was. Of course, he has been probably the kindest, gentlest, and I suppose that are the two adjectives that best describe him.
That's what we've been hearing all day, kind and gentle and a great professional. But what do you think would have been the ultimate for him? When we were talking, you mentioned that the Opry stage might have been the best ending.
Oh, I really believe that he really wanted to go out on the Opry stage. I really believe that in my heart, and several of us have talked about that before. Well, you know, there have been one of his musicians, Oni Wheeler. You know, he went out on the Opry stage.
Well, we're going to miss him, that's for certain. And I thank you for joining us tonight. We're learning so much about Roy Acuff, the man, the giant, the legend, and now back to Harry and Chris.
Okay, Brett, thank you very much. Porter Wagner, of course, has been here with us all throughout the evening. Porter, I know you brought something with you that you wanted to share with us, too, this evening.
Harry, I did. You know, there's been so many things said about Roy Acuff, and Alan Nelson, who has known Roy for most of his life, I thought wrote a beautiful poem, and I'd like to share that with everyone looking in tonight. It goes like this. A voice came from the Smokies, as pure as the mountain snow. His songs were of the hills and home, and the life we used to know. He sang of trains and tragedy, of family and friends. But the singer joined a better land, but the song will never end. He rides the Wabash Cannonball to that cabin in the sky, where the circle stands unbroken and the speckled bird still flies. The light he saw is shining to lead him on his way. The king of country music plays a larger stage today. 1,000 loving voices will sing his songs tonight, and each one sings in gratitude for the man who gave them flight. A golden curtain rose for him, his biggest Opry show. He stands among a galaxy of the stars that went before. The solemn old judge will introduce him as the starlight fills the stage. His friends will start to sing along with a smile upon every face. A golden fiddle at his chin, he'll need no microphone. The voice they'll hear is strong and clear, for the king is finally home.
Okay, Porter, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
It's a real pleasure. Thank you, and Chris and everyone at Channel 5. You've been wonderful for country music. We love you all, and thank you very much, Harry and Chris.
Thank you, Porter.
Porter, thanks for sharing that. That was beautiful.
Absolutely.
A king who showed humility.
The story on this News Channel 5 special report as we continue.
One of Mr. Acuff's best friends, and we've got Skeeter Davis joining us. You've got some great memories of him, I'm sure.
Yeah, when you said best friends, it's so neat because, you know, I think everybody that always listened to the Opry, listened to Mr. Roy, that always hear him call Connie Smith the sweetheart. And a few weeks ago, I was on with him, and so as a surprise, it was, in fact, a surprise to me. I do things on the spur of a minute sometime, and I started doing once a day, every day, all day long. And he was he just broke up, you know, just broke him right up on the stage. And then, so then later, I went into the room and was talking to him. I said, I want to do that. I said, because I know I'm not your sweetheart. I know Connie's your sweetheart. He said, I love you just as much as I love her. And
that's got to make you feel great.
Oh, you do. And I just was so thrilled, you know. And, but I've loved him so long that, and used to, you know, I've got some long-haired musicians, and I wear my little wild, colorful clothes and have them pop crossovers, and Mr. Acuff used to get me. I felt like I was going to the principal's office because he'd get me, you know, and stuff looked like it's golden or something, you know. But I said one time, I said, I didn't feel like he liked me. I didn't feel like he loved me, you know, and so I said, well, if he don't, I'll just keep loving him until he loves me back. And I'm so happy because I do feel like he loved me back. And but when he told me that night, it just really thrilled me because I knew that he loved and respected Connie so much and thought she was so great when he said, I love you as much as I love her. And it just really thrilled me.
You and I were talking earlier, and you mentioned that you had a theory why you thought he was such a great man.
Well, I really believe it's because the way he talked to the people on stage, and I don't think he put himself above anybody. I mean, even with all of his money, all of his fame, I mean, he was known the world over. It wasn't whether you had a top 10 record or, you know, who was hot, or he was on shows so many times. I was in England with him before, and people that, you know, want to see all the top 10 people. Nobody went over nobody was received like Roy Acuff. And I know in my travels, in fact, just this morning, my friend from Korea wanted to know how the old man from the Opry, how is the old man from the Opry? And I sent him a fax a while ago to tell him that our old man from the Opry has passed on. But even he, you know, I mean, anybody that came around, and my father loved Roy so much that he used to always want me to be on Roy's portion. He always loved it better when I was on Roy's portion. So Thursday morning, I woke up crying. I was dreaming, and I dreamed that I was singing I'll Fly Away, and I was crying, and my father, who's been deceased for 3 years now, was saying to me, "Don't cry, Skeeter." And I said, "Daddy, how can I keep from crying for Roy? I'm crying for Roy." He said, "Don't waste your tears. He's fine here." And I rushed down to the hospital because I thought, he's gone, but nobody's called me, nobody's told me. So I went down Thursday night and I talked to his son, Roy Neal.
Well, that's got to make you feel so great to have known the man and been so close to him. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We sure do appreciate it. Now back to you guys in the studio.
Okay, Brad, thank you very much. More on the short-lived movie career of Roy Acuff.
As this News Channel 5 special report on the King of Country continues.
I will ride you out on a rifle barrel.
During the 1940s, Roy Acuff headed to Hollywood, where he was featured in 8 motion pictures. Bill Ivey is now back with us.
Bill, the Country Music Foundation has chronicled Roy Acuff's life, including that time he was in Hollywood. What happened to his movie career?
Well, I think Roy was never all that comfortable as a movie star. He made, as your introduction mentioned, you know, 8 B movies. Each was shot in just a couple of weeks. And Roy never liked the scripted quality. He didn't like to be told how to make every move and exactly how to stand, exactly how to talk. So I think when he had an opportunity to just settle back into his career as a live entertainer and a recording artist, he was perfectly happy to do that. He had other opportunities to do films in the 50s and even in the 60s, but by that point he was turning things down. But there were some interesting things about those films. He always stayed Roy Acuff. He always was a country singer. He never became a cowboy in those films, although there was pressure to do so. So he brought something to the films, something of his unique character and something, I think, of his stubbornness.
Thanks, Bill. I remember one story that Mr. Roy told me. He said he was like a lost person in Hollywood. He said those Hollywood folks, I won't even attempt to imitate his voice, but you can picture it. He said they were city slickers, and they would maneuver themselves so only the back of your head was toward the camera. He said you had to learn to fight them so at least your face would get off. We'll be right back with some final words about the life of Roy Acuff.
When News Channel 5's special on Roy Acuff continues.
Home with the Opry, and I did, you know, build the cameras in Hollywood, and I'm very grateful to the people for making my life happy.
I heard my mortal years will be glory, I do declare, and God's only Son will be the leading one at that meeting in the air.
The one question we haven't answered tonight so far, why did Roy Acuff use a yo-yo in the Opry?
Mr. Acuff says the reason he used the yo-yo in the Grand Ole Opry was during the radio commercials. He said he knew the audience there at the Opry House would not be interested in the radio commercials. So he wanted to keep their attention during those commercials, so he just brought his yo-yo out, remember, carry over from his old medicine show days, and he would use his yo-yo out on the stage.
Wonderful story,
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us this evening.
And good night from all of us here at News Channel 5.
I've had as much glory out of my life as anybody. I don't know of anyone that I would think that has enjoyed life any more than Roy Acuff has. I've enjoyed it.
Good night to you.
That's Roy Acuff, a member of the Country Music Hall of Fame and the king of country music, along with Minnie Pearl. Great show. Friends, this portion of the Friday Night Opry